All right, our next speaker, okay, she's been here at Modere for literally like a hot second, okay? I think it's like maybe her first month in the business. She's already hit Platinum 1 and Director 1. Platinum 1 is 5,000 points in her customer pod. Director 1 is 12,000 in team volume. Coming to us live from North Carolina, I believe. Her and I have been chatting back and forth. I mean, she's just crushing it, guys, and I can't wait to hear her story. I can't wait for you guys to hear exactly what she's been doing to just crush it in her first month here. So, Rachel, are you out there?
I am here from the sunny south of the U.S. and enjoy the weather.
All right. Welcome, sister. So excited to have you here at Modere, excited to have you in our team, excited for you to share your story with everybody on the call today.
Yeah, and I'm excited to share. It's a huge passion of mine. This industry was something I didn't really know much about when I got into it. So I've been in the industry for about 11 years. And prior to that, I was a math teacher, and then I was a sexuality educator. But I was up in New York, and my family decided we were moving south to get out of the gray and the cold and the snow. It's not for us. And when I came down here, I discovered that the teacher salary I would be taking a massive income hit. So I thought, okay, well, what can I do? My sister did Party Light back forever ago, and I remember her setting up tables and doing events, but that's what I didn't know there was compensation. Like, I didn't know anything about direct sales.
Right.
So it wasn't in my mind, but I did start a tutoring company in the Raleigh-Durham area, the capital area, and that was pretty successful. I was making good money, but the only time I had students was in the evening, and I had 3 little ones. Well, I had 2 little ones at home at the time, and I was missing all of their after-school events. I mean, they'd come home from school. I'd say, hi, bye, off I go to my clients, and I didn't like it. It was eating at me pretty bad, and then my husband would have all the pictures he's sending of all the things they would do, like sports and the math and science fair, which obviously I would love because I was a math teacher, and I was just like, I don't love this. And I joined a fitness direct sales company, and I started making some extra money, but I didn't really get involved. I was kind of like one of those part-timers that just kind of sells the products and supports their people, but I still didn't really know the potential that there is in network marketing. And then I started training. Actually, I started following John Mellon, and who is my upline. Yes, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much more than I realized. And so I decided, all right, I'm going to get serious. I'm going to take these tips and tricks he teaches, and I'm going to start implementing and see if I can make $1,000 a month. In over 3 months, I started making $1,000 a month, and I had told my husband, if I can make $1,000 a month within a few months, then obviously I can do this, and I'm going to stop tutoring, and I'm going to do this full time. And so 10 years ago, I went full time. Really, really love the industry. One of the companies that I was with, I did very well there, but it was more of a ma and pa type of network marketing company, very sweet, very humble, but it wasn't very big. And I know in my heart I'm big. Like I have a lot of passion for the industry, and I knew I could do more and have a bigger impact. And so I've been researching health and wellness companies. I'm very holistic too. So I wanted to make sure there wasn't junk in the supplements that I was going to be providing for people. And I loved Modere. I loved the compensation plan. I loved seeing all of the leaders and the people winning, and really truly the dual-sided compensation plan I thought was fabulous, because so many of my teammates in the past aren't very skilled or desiring to recruit a bunch of people, but they're really good at talking about the products. And so I thought, well, shoot, this is perfect for people like that. They could make a good income. I mean, making up to 36% commission, like that's really great. So I went for it. Yes, my anniversary was Thursday. That was my 4-week anniversary on just a couple days ago. And yeah, I promoted 9 times. 9 times. It's been wonderful. It's been very relieving for my family to be able to be here. Like, not being in the education system I guess it was like 8 to 4 or so, having to take time out if my kids were sick and having to get daycare lined up and all of that. That's not how I envisioned being a mom. I envisioned being a mom and that being my job. Like, I want to be there for anything my children have, and I wasn't. When I was in the classroom and my kids were sick, my husband would have to go. He'd leave and he'd go pick them up from daycare when they were little, and he would do all of those things. And I don't know. I think I started realizing that I wasn't meant to be an employee, one, when I disagree with everything administration ever said. I was just like, you know, teacher, when you decide to go teaching, you're like, I love teaching, I love learning, I want these kids to really grow, and I know I have the tools to do this, and I'm going to make a difference. And then you actually get in the classroom, and they're like, no, you have to teach to the test. It doesn't matter that you have a whole varying range of students' abilities. You just have to teach this way. And it crushed my spirit. It really did. And so when I tutored, that was a little better because those were kids that wanted to learn. Those were parents that wanted their kids to succeed. So I could, you know, personalize it to them. Yeah. But then again, it was exchanging my time for money, and that time is so important to me. We are on this planet for such a short period of time, and I want to make an impact on my children always. Always.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, I love that so much, Rachel. And I felt the same way, you know, when I was working with those interning with the attorneys. I was the only female in the office, and I've known since birth I wanted to be a mom, and I just thought, how am I going to be the kind of mom I want to be if I'm stuck in an office 80-plus hours a week? Because I know my personality. I'd want to, like, not only be in the firm, I'd want to be I'd want to be a partner. I'd want to own a firm, you know. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to do that and be a good mom too? But, girl, 9 promotions in your first freaking month. Are you kidding me right now? Like, that is so badass, girl. That is freaking awesome. Thanks. Congrats on that, sister. So excited for you. So proud of you. So what have you been doing? How the hell have you gone P1 and D1? Because now, congrats, you already, you know, won a trip to New Leader Conference in Utah, which is actually my favorite Modere event because it's smaller and the training is just power-packed. And the fun that you have, I went to the very first one we ever had, and it was by far my most favorite Modere event. It's awesome. I can't wait for you to experience that. So give these guys your best tips. Like really take the gloves off and tell them, what have you done to build your business to where it is on both sides of the comp plan?
Okay. Well, the first thing I'm going to piggyback with what Brian said is be authentic. And I know so many people, and I've worked, so in the last 4 or 5 years since I've been in my transition looking for the perfect company, I've been coaching clients. I've been taking people from other network marketing companies and teaching them how to succeed. And I actually think that's really boosted my ability. And like, I've taught them, but I haven't necessarily implemented it because I've been quiet with direct sales. I've been just focusing on coaching. And I'm telling you, when you actually start listening to your coach, which is myself in this situation, it really works. One, the authenticity, any struggles that you've had. Like I find that a lot of people just want to share their successes, but that's not as relatable as to the people that you want to help. And so when we're authentic, we're getting people to really know us and like us and trust us, and going live and creating reels and doing multiple stories every day. Not just customer testimonials, but you in your life, cooking food, gardening, playing with chickens. Like, you want your audience to know you so that they start liking you and trusting you. Now, not everybody's going to like you, and that's totally fine because everybody has different personalities. I think one thing for sure I would say is don't worry about it. If people start unfollowing you, then they're not people that you are there to help. So that's something I find is a barrier for a lot of people. But it doesn't matter, because if you're creating reels and you're going live, you're gaining audience. If you're using Facebook groups to meet new people and just build connections with them, they're going to see your stuff. And if they're the right people, they're going to be coming to building those relationships, having conversations, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're the person that can help me, which is a big part of it. When we're showing up on social media, we are showing that we are the solutions to people's problems. And it's not just showing before and after pictures. It's not just talking about the supplements. In my world, it's all, I'm a big mindset and confidence and self-esteem and whole health. Like, you want to be well. And so I talk about that. I give tips on how to gain muscle. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with Modere products. It's maybe just making sure to hit 100 grams of protein a day, making sure to drink your water every day, making sure to move your body, even if it's just doing squats before going to the bathroom. Like, these tips that help people be interested in following me, because I give them solutions. And then at some point when they might discover, wow, this just isn't enough, I need Rachael to help me more. And that's when it's like a constant influx of people going, okay, I tried this, it's not working, help me, because I'm stuck. And I find that works.
Yes.
Another tip I have is, and this is another barrier that I see a lot of network marketers do, and it does get in the way of their success, is excuses. And I'm not saying excuses aren't legitimate. They absolutely are. Some days are the worst. I mean, something can happen dramatically in your life where you don't want to go on social. You don't want to talk to people. But treat yourself like your CEO and your employee. You're the same person. And what would you do as a CEO to that employee if they refused to show up? Well, you'd fire them. So we can't do that. We have to show up. If we're not bringing our best energy, that's okay, but we're still showing up. We're still going live. We're still creating content. We're still getting in people's message boxes and letting them know, we're here for you. We're here for you. I'm not in the best of moods today. You know, something really horrible happened, but I'm here and I want to help you. You don't have to let them know that. They might detect it from your tone, but hey, you're still there. And then when it comes to the conversations, like, okay, so you're doing all of these things, people are coming in, have the conversations revolve around your prospect. If your prospect is coming to you and they want to know something, they're looking for this, ask them, okay, what are your goals? What have you tried before? Let them know that you truly do care and you're going to find the perfect solution for their problem, and not be spammy, not just, oh, here's my link, go ahead and check it out. Like, there's a total system, but what's great is with this team, we have the checklist. We have exactly how to have the conversations. We have everything there. I mean, if you print it off and you're looking at it and it's time for you to have a conversation with a prospect, a lead, somebody who's interested in your product, you have a guide to walk you through it, even if you're brand new. And I love that for my teammates. And I talk about that. And I think that's how I'm able to recruit many people and have many customers. And every time I have a customer that's interested, I authentically say, because like you, Michelle, I love this company. I cannot, like, I talk about it with my husband every night, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting so many butterflies. Like, I feel like I am home, and this is amazing. Everybody, even if they're not directly upline to me, the excitement and the motivation and the tips, and it's beyond anything I've experienced. And it's absolutely incredible. So when I think about it, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, and then I have to, when somebody's interested in a product and I see any sort of ability in them, if I notice something where I'm like, dang, they're like working out already and posting stories, they're already eating well and posting their menu items, like, and I'll tell them, I'll say, you know, it would be doing a disservice if I don't ask you, are you at all interested in the business opportunity? Because I see amazing things in you, and I think you could do this really, really well. They might not have even thought about it, but all of a sudden that seed is planted, and they're like, maybe I could. And so then they watch the video, and then they, you know, have a three-way chat with John or whomever else, and they're like, yeah, this is it. This is for me. If it doesn't work out, hey, I'm still getting products. I'm giving it a go. If they don't follow the system, they might not see success quickly, but they still could be making a few hundred a month. And who doesn't want a few hundred a month? I mean, that's definitely gas and maybe a dinner out or something, you know. So I always think don't just discredit the ability, the potential for somebody to say, yes, I am interested. It doesn't hurt to ask, especially if you're like, hey, you know what? I think you'd be great at this. Have you thought about it? Because it feels good to be told you're good. Yeah. Someone sees potential in you. Like, yeah, tell me that for sure. Those are my tips.
Oh my God, Rachel, I love that so much, because I always tell people, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. And, you know, if someone says no, okay, great. Nothing has changed in your life. They weren't in your business yesterday. They're not in your business today. Nothing has changed. But what if they say yes and they're a Rachel? What if they say yes and they're a Brian? What if they say yes and they're a Lisa? What if they say yes and they're a John Milton? Like, your entire freaking life could change, right?
Yeah.
So, I was listening to this podcast the other day, and, it was talking about, ask bigger. Like, people, ask and it's given, right? And ask and you shall receive. And people are like asking, to have money to cover their electric bill instead of asking for their dream home. They're asking to fill up their car with gas instead of asking for a brand new car. Like ask and it's given. And so this lady on this podcast is funny. She was talking about Steve Harvey, and she said that he always says, up your ask, and God will up his give. That's what it was. So she said, up your ask and God will up his give. And I was dying laughing because I was like, okay, that was freaking funny. But it's so true, right? Like, Why aren't we asking for more? Like, the world is your oyster. Like, you get to determine your income here, you know? So I just love that you're making it happen and you're being real and you know, you're doing the thing. You know, Waldo Emerson says, do the thing and you shall have the power. And when you take action, even if it's messy, things will start falling into your world, and you're going to start, as soon as you make a decision to just be successful and stick with it, you know, God in the universe is gonna like guide the right people into your world and the circumstances and all the things. But you got to up your vibe, and that's another thing. Like, your vibe attracts your tribe. If you want to attract amazing humans, be an amazing human. This is not rocket science. So what else, Rachel, before we wrap up, what are some other, you know, what are your final tips for the day?
Oh, I do love your up your vibe, because I do notice I used to attract, and I was actually talking about this with a client, I used to attract people that were desperate but didn't have drive. They were they just so badly wanted to be me, but they didn't have any drive. And I was looking, you know, like reflecting, why am I attracting these people? And it was definitely in the language that I was choosing to use. And it was about four or 5 years ago. I changed everything. I went all on. I will never be negative. I will never be like, I honestly, I live that way. When I start feeling like I'm speaking negatively to my husband or my children or my friends, well, it was never my friends, my husband and my kids. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I would get with them. And I'm like, okay, this is not productive at all. Like, why put out any negativity when we can always switch it to positivity? So I started reflecting that everywhere, any person's life I could touch, it was only positivity and optimism. And I noticed that people talk about not liking social media. I love social media. I love it. The people that I follow, the people that are in my circle are so wonderful. Like, I get on, I set a timer because otherwise I just get absorbed, but I'm just like winning, happy. Like, it just feels so very good. There was another thought I had and I can't recall. Shoot. Oh, that's one. So,
what was the language you changed? You said you changed your language.
Well, when
you were attracting like desperate, you were attracting people that were desperate and had no drive, which welcome to America. Yeah. That's probably about 90% of people. You know, but there are other Rachels out there. There are other Brians out there. There are people who live on a higher frequency that are vibing higher, and you just need to attract those people by being that person.
And so the posting, a lot of the times, like, I make sure every day, whether it's in a story or a post, I'm doing inspirational stuff. I always share stories of my journey, where I used to be. Honestly, when I was in my early 20s, I was not very nice. I would, like, intentionally so. I preferred to be mean than sad. I really did. And that was an honest reflection. And so I've shared that. And I'm like, you know, that's not a good place to be. I didn't like myself at all. And in turn, I didn't like a whole lot of other things in life. Like, I just was kind of negative. And I hated it. And so I talk about that a lot. Whether or not people, I think a lot of people are on a similar journey and they don't really know how to focus on positivity and optimism. So that was one. But honestly, it was like I would be saying something like only $2. Okay, that's excessive. But, you know, only $5 to join and I can help you make money. Like, it was kind of desperate. The way I was pitching, and I would post this on social too. Like, I look sometimes my memories. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I definitely was speaking to ultra low income. It wasn't necessarily people looking to have a career. It was just people that were desperate and thought they could make a quick buck. And I definitely portrayed it in my posts that way. So it wasn't talking to the drivers. It wasn't talking to the people that know the potential of what happens if you work for yourself and you can, you know, with a good compensation plan to back. It was definitely not talking to the right people. I don't know. That was definitely one of it. Making it sound like, that's definitely going to attract the people that I don't vibe with in general. I guess.
Yeah.
Now
exactly.
Now it's more just look what this has done for me because I love it, because I put in work, because I follow systems. And now it's more people that are like, I could do that, instead of, I could just make a quick buck. You know, I think I've definitely grown a bit that area.
That's awesome. Well, and that's the thing. The more you do, the more confident. It's like the more you do, the more confidence you have. The more confidence you have, the higher quality and higher caliber of people you're going to attract and recruit. I mean, so that's why I would say do the thing. You shall have the power. And you said you have 3 kiddos, right?
Yeah, I do.
What are their ages?
Matt, my oldest, he'll be 16 in October. My 2 younger ones, one will be 13 in June, and the other will be 8 in June. So getting up there. I can't believe him. My little guy's going to be 13. That, like, blows my mind. He's still, like, 8 in my head.
Oh, girl, I get it. My youngest just turned 13 a couple weeks ago, and my oldest will be 16 in July. So and then I tapped out after that. I was already outnumbered, so I tapped out after that and got a puppy. But it's like a third child. Well, I love that, and the reason why I ask is I want people to realize that, whether you are a busy professional, whether you're an entrepreneur and you own other businesses, whether or not you have kids or not, you can do this business. And if there are other people seeing success, so can you. So, Rachael, you're a rock star. I love you to pieces already. I'm so excited that you're here, excited you're crushing it. Thank you for sharing these tips and your story today. Is there anything you want to leave these guys with before we head on to Lisa?
The last thing is the analogy that you said something similar, and it made me think of it, and I think this is a really good point to make for those of you who need a little perspective shift. You are not going to be amazing at something when you first start it. Think about when you were in 4th grade and we had to do basketball and PE, and you've got 2 hands on the ball. You're, like, dribbling like you're a klutzy. You're kicking the ball, but then we had to practice. And we learned, okay, dribble with one hand. Okay, chest passes. Everything gets better with practice. But if you refuse to try, like live videos, like stories, like reels, or conversations with people, if you refuse to try, you will not get better. It's okay to not be perfect. Nobody's going to judge you. Just keep doing it, and you will get better. Just like any sport, any professional athlete started knowing nothing, and look where they are now. It's the same concept when you're growing this type of business. That's it. That's my last one.
Exactly. I love it, girl. Well, thank you. Can't wait to meet you in person and give you the biggest hug ever. And just keep crushing it, sister. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Last but absolutely not least, I love that you guys are all hanging in there, even on a holiday weekend. All right, our last speaker, guys, you do not want to miss this. And I hope you've been taking notes just like I have been. Even after 28 years, guys, I always learn something every single time I'm on one of these calls. And if you're not learning, if you're not growing, you're dying. Okay, so congrats to those of you who are still here and have been listening and taking notes. And the key is to go out and apply it. Don't be a professional learner. Okay, go out there and take action, take messy, dirty action, and just get better every single time, but do it every day.